Do you guys remember the viral video of the kid who was trying to go Super Saiyan on YouTube?
I'm going to attempt to go Super Saiyan on film, and I'm going to upload it to YouTube.
And he starts doing an introduction about, who he is and how he wants to become a Super Saiyan, and then he starts transforming into a Super Saiyan, and he's screaming at the top of his lungs. And at the end of the video, he's like, "My name is Jalen, and I am a Super Saiyan," or something like that.
My name is Jalen, and I am a Super Saiyan.
Because I do. Oh boy, where to begin? Okay, well, for starters, my name is Marcus. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is basically a YouTube channel for artists or comic book artists or just my fellow nerds out there who love video games, comic books, sci-fi movies, the whole nerd pop culture thing. Basically, what I'm going to be doing on this YouTube channel is I'm going to be taking aspects or various points of my life with the nerd culture stuff and then talking about it and drawing about it at the same time. So it's gonna really start off much like this video is with this Dragonball Z art collaboration project, which is essentially the premise of what I wanted to do with this YouTube channel. So stay tuned, because there's gonna be more than one video for this Dragonball Z art collaboration project, but also there's gonna be other videos as well that you might like, such as RoboCop or Batman or, I don't know. You'll find out. So today starts the Dragonball Z art collaboration project. Now this is between my fellow friends and artists, G and Phil. G is someone I went to college with, and Phil is someone I used to hang out with for the fighting game community. We used to play Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, the likes, way back in the day, about 10 years ago or so. Really cool community we had. Shout out Friday Night Encounters. So this art collaboration is a combined effort. Essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to draw on a 20x24 Bristol, and it's going to be any moment, any scene, action pose, character, what have you, in Season 1 of Dragon Ball Z, or specifically the Saiyan Saga. So that means anything from when Raditz shows up on Earth up until the point where Vegeta leaves Earth wounded after his fight with Goku. So once I draw what I want to draw on the 20x24 Bristol, I'm going to end up sending it out to Phil, and then Phil is going to draw wherever he likes to on the Bristol board here. And then, again, it can't be something that I'm drawing, but it has to be something from that specific Saiyan Saga. And then he's going to put it wherever he wants on the Bristol, and then he's going to send it back to me. And then I'm going to react to it, and then I'm going to send it over to G after I draw another portion as well. And then G is going to draw his portion wherever he wants, and again, something of his own, specifically to the Saiyan Saga. And then he's going to send it back to me, and then I'm going to react. And you kind of see where I'm going with this, right? So I'm pretty hopeful that this won't take very long, just because this is a combined effort between the three of us, and it's the first time for the three of us to really do something like this. We actually met a week ago and talked about the journey, what we would like to do. I didn't throw any ideas out there. They didn't throw any ideas out there, but we talked about exactly, we want to do pencil, we want to do inks, and then we want to do markers or brush marker or something of the sort. So we want to stick to something where we're all pretty much universal and in sync with each other, so the art piece doesn't look kind of discombobulated. And again, this is a learning process between the three of us, so I'm really hoping that things go smooth, but there have been some things that have been happening that maybe I'll talk in a later video that hopefully won't delay this, but stay tuned, because again, this is only part 1. Another video part 2 and another video part 3 will most likely come out within the next month or two. And just side note, so I'm actually going to be avoiding their social media accounts, so that way my reactions to, opening up the package is pretty authentic. I'm really excited about this because, again, this is something that I talked to G about back in June of 2024, so roughly 6 or 7 months ago. And this whole idea is what sparked me wanting to kind of get involved with YouTube. I've always wanted to kind of dabble in YouTube, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I kind of came up with this idea about March of 2024 when I started rewatching Dragon Ball Z Kai. I wrote down some notes, got some ideas for this YouTube channel, and then slowly but surely I've been getting them. So honestly, this has been almost a year in progress, and I'm really glad and really excited to see how this turns out. And I'm crossing my fingers that, you know, if it's successful, that we will move on to season 2, which is the Namek Frieza Super Saiyan saga, and we all know what happens then. Now, during this video, I'll also be talking about how much Dragon Ball Z has meant to me as a person, and quite frankly, an artist generally. You know, so there's going to be some clips of me talking about, you know, how I came about it, things that happened during my childhood and teenage years with Dragon Ball Z, and the whole obsession with it, but also the big cultural boom with Dragon Ball Z that really kind of started at the late 90s, and, you know, it is what it is today. So without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so thanks again, guys, for tuning in and watching to this Dragon Ball Z Saiyan Saga collaboration art piece, part 1. As you can see here, what I started to do is draw out some thumbnails or some ideas in my iPad Pro using Procreate here. I chose 4 different moments during the actual Saiyan Saga here, which is Goku charging up his Kaioken times 4, Kamehameha, as well as Piccolo blowing up the moon, which I completely forgot that even happened when I went back and rewatched the show, and I thought it was pretty funny. Also, Vegeta, you know, charging up his Gallic Gun, which is also a pivotal moment during the season, and as well as Gohan just exploding out of the Saiyan pod that Raditz had him in as a hostage. I thought that was a pretty pivotal moment as well. And ultimately, what I did is I started off with a bang. I wanted to start off strong. So I ultimately chose to start with Goku charging his Kamehameha Kaioken times 4. So I came across Dragon Ball Z roughly around the year 1996, 1997. And if you were a kid like me growing up in the 90s, you know that if you had extra channels such as HBO or Cinemax or Showtime or anything out of the ordinary outside of basic cable, you had to have this cable box sort of thing, and it rested on top of your TV stand, or it was somewhere embedded in your entertainment stand that you had in the 90s. My family had one of these, and one of those channels that I actually came across was called the International Channel. And every Sunday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, they played Dragon Ball Z in Japanese. And I guess Sunday was typically their Japanese channel days on the International Channel. And then later at night, they would play anime that was more teenage adult themed. For me as a kid growing up in the 90s, again, I was roughly 11 or 12 years old, so this was like right before the big boom with Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. For me, it was like crazy because it was like, what is this? What is this show? It reminds me of Street Fighter. It reminds me of Fatal Fury, but it's like a animated version of it. And of course, I had such this underexposure of anime, and Dragon Ball Z was definitely the door open, or the foot in the door for me to really get a sense of what anime is and what it's all about. And then eventually Dragon Ball Z would start to be aired on American TV. And for me, this was every morning before I went to school, and I was in middle school, so I was getting up pretty early, and there would be cartoons that would play. And one of these channels specifically was called Kids WB. And I don't think Kids WB is around anymore, but Kids WB is essentially where I started to see the English dub of Dragon Ball Z, which to me was awesome because I was holding this sacred thing close to the chest with a TV show that I didn't understand, and I'm drawing about it, and my friends are like, what is this? This is so cool. And here, it turns out, about another year or two after I was introduced to Dragon Ball Z via the International Channel, now it's on Kids WB in the morning with Pokemon. So both of those shows became pretty much cultural phenomenons around the late 90s. So this is roughly around 1998 timeframe. With Dragon Ball Z having a very limited exposure, only in the mornings during a Kids WB time block before kids would go to school, it was pretty limited. But then things started to change, and Dragon Ball Z really started to get exposed to more eyes, more children, more teenagers, etc. And this is because it was the help of Cartoon Network doing their Toonami block, which was after school. So that means all those kids coming back from school, much like myself, would be able to watch Dragon Ball Z now for about an hour or two block during those afternoons into the dinner time evening hours, which was amazing because now not only am I getting exposed to it in the morning, but I'm also seeing it later on in the afternoon. It was great. It was fantastic for me, and I was pretty much obsessed. And by obsessed, I mean I was drawing Dragon Ball Z so much, as you can see in the photos that I'm going to put up now. And yeah, these are all photos that I had or have taken. I still saved my Dragon Ball Z drawings to this day, But as you can tell, I was really, really excited and obsessed with the show that it really just made me into really wanting to become more of an artist as I got older. And it wasn't just my obsession, but it was also the obsession of other kids like myself. So again, if you were a kid in the 90s, there were a lot of weird things that we had back in the day, such as floppy disks. And specifically with Dragon Ball Z, the one thing that I could vividly remember was the fact that my friends and I would pass these floppy disks around, and these floppy disks would have specific sections of the Dragon Ball Z movies that never aired on American television yet. So they, of course, were in Japanese. And I mean, these floppy disks could only hold so much information compared to, what phones can today. So think of a floppy disk only holding about a 1 to 3 minute clip, maybe 5 to 10 minutes total, depending on the compression rate of the actual video. So it was pretty exciting to be able to watch a Dragon Ball Z movie, various clips, and my friends and I would just pass these floppy disks around. Sometimes those floppy disks would also have promotional artwork from Dragon Ball Z, which I thought was like pretty damn awesome, because some of these artwork for the marketing material, promotional artwork, I mean, these dudes look like they were going to be on the next rap album for Dragon Ball Z. Also, another thing that us kids used to do, at least, a group of my friends, was we would use our school computers. So again, we were in middle school at the time, but we would be able to use our school computers in the computer labs, or if we had a specific computer in the homeroom or something like that. And what we would do is, if we were in our class very early on, or if we stayed later or something of the sort, we would take advantage of sticking in our floppy disks and just print that promotional artwork, and then we would have binders. And I mean binders of just all these various artworks or prints or something of the sort that was Dragon Ball Z related. And the cool thing about it was, now not only was I being, exposed to this show in the morning and afternoon, but now I'm bringing home legit artwork so that I can copy and draw. So thanks to Dragon Ball Z, I was exposed to, again, the fundamentals of how to draw human anatomy or the body, muscle figures, just everything in general. I didn't come from a family that had a lot of money or anything of the sort. I am the oldest of 5 kids. My parents worked pretty hard to be able to provide for us. So I didn't really have the opportunity to be able to take extracurricular art courses outside of my day school, which was middle school. So I really owe a lot to the Dragon Ball Z franchise for giving a kid like me at the time the ability to learn the fundamentals, to learn the basics, to be able to imagine and get creative. For that show, to be able to do that for me, I owe it a lot, because it made me the artist that I am today. So thank you, Dragon Ball Z. Now, I won't go too involved with what happened with Toonami getting into Season 2, or the Namek Super Saiyan Frieza saga of Dragon Ball Z. I want to be able to talk about that, if we are able to get to a Season 2 art collaboration, if this is successful. But I will say, I'm really happy that Toonami took advantage of the Dragon Ball Z franchise and exposed it to myself and all the other kids out there that grew up in the 90s, because then it became such a cultural phenomenon that we got video games, we got figures, we got how to draw anime books, and anime just sort of became this household name slowly but surely, thanks to Toonami doing this for the franchise and many other franchises out there. So as I mentioned earlier, I wanted to start off strong. And by strong, obviously, I meant by focusing on Goku. During my thumbnail process, I had a couple of ideas, but for me, this specific moment during the Saiyan saga was a pretty hype moment. And if you were a kid in the 90s and you watched this first season, you're going to remember this specific moment with Goku charging up his Kamehameha and then going Kaioken times 4, and then King Kai, just telling him, don't do it. And then, Goku was doing this to be able to save the planet from Vegeta, who was about ready to shoot his Gallic gun that could potentially destroy Earth. Again, for me, this was such a hype moment. It was such a build-up. It was so cool to see that crazy power-up. And it's not like I got that with other American cartoons at the time, you know, like Looney Tunes and Animaniacs and all those other shows that we all grew up watching in the 90s. They didn't really have things like this. You know, a focus on storytelling, character development, but also having that free will to sacrifice yourself to help others. This was very important to me, and this is why I chose to start off strong with this art collaboration piece. Alright guys, so I'm at the home stretch here with the drawing of what I selected to do here. It's been a lot of fun. It was a little challenging. There's some things I wish I could have changed or done different, but I'm pretty proud of how this turned out. Just to kickstart this Dragon Ball Z art collaborative piece with G and Phil, and I'm really looking forward to what they have to do. So guys, if you're watching, time to step up. Let's see what you got. Again, thank you guys for everyone for watching. I appreciate y'all. So here it is. Let's reveal. And now, it's time to ship this off to Phil. Let's see what you got, buddy.